It was a hot Friday night in Chandler, Arizona. The crickets outside sang their usual summer song, and the wind barely moved the leaves. It was past midnight when Robert Callahan walked into the local police station, looking pale and shaking. "My wife," he said. "She's missing." Officer Grant looked him over from behind the front desk. Robert was in jogging pants, flip-flops, and a white t-shirt soaked with sweat. His hair was a mess, and his hands kept fidgeting. "When did you last see her?" the officer asked, grabbing a notepad. "She went out for a walk," Robert said. "Around 9 p.m. She said she needed air. I waited and waited, but she never came back." "Have you tried calling her?" "Yes, no answer." "Any idea where she might go?" "She's been stressed lately," Robert said. "Family problems. Her mother's been sick. She sometimes walks to the lake, just to clear her head." Officer Grant nodded. "We'll file a missing person report. What's her full name?" "Vanessa Callahan." "Age?" 32. "Photo?" Robert pulled out his phone and showed a picture. It was a selfie of Vanessa smiling on their porch. Long brown hair, soft hazel eyes, wearing a blue dress. They entered her details into the system. Officer Grant promised they'd check the lake and surrounding areas. Robert gave a quiet, "Thank you," and turned to leave. That was when it happened. A buzz, a faint vibration. From Robert's pocket. He stopped walking. The officer heard it too. "Was that her phone?" the officer asked. Robert didn't answer. "Sir, was that Vanessa's phone?" Robert swallowed hard and slowly reached into his left shorts pocket. What he pulled out sent cold shivers down Officer Grant's spine. It was a pink phone case. iPhone. The screen lit up again. A notification. One new message. "Hey babe, you okay?" Still coming? It was her phone. Silence filled the lobby. I don't know how it got there," Robert stammered. "Sir, you said she took it with her on her walk." "She did. She must have, I don't know. I don't know." Within 5 minutes, the officer called him back up. That was the beginning of the case that would shake the small town and reveal secrets far darker than a missing person. The police sealed off the Callahan home that night, and that's when Detective Rhonda Mayfield was called in. Rhonda, in her late 50s, was known for her sharp eyes and calm thinking. She didn't chase drama. She chased the truth. And what she saw in Robert that night wasn't fear. It was something else. A lie wrapped in panic. She arrived at 2 a.m., sharp suit, black notebook in hand. Robert sat in an interview room, eyes on the table. The phone lay on the desk, quiet now. "Let's start over," Rhonda said as she sat across from him. "You said she was missing, but her phone was in your pocket." Robert opened his mouth, but no words came out, and so began a case of whispers, betrayal, and death. Detective Rhonda Mayfield leaned back in the hard plastic chair, watching Robert Callahan with the quiet patience of someone who had seen this before. She had worked homicides for 25 years and learned long ago that the guilty ones either talk too much or not at all. Robert hadn't said a word in the last 10 minutes. The silence in the interview room was thick, like fog before a storm. On the table between them sat Vanessa Callahan's phone. Pink case, small crack on the corner, unread messages glowing in the notification bar. Rhonda hadn't touched it yet. She didn't need to. The story was already falling apart. "You said your wife left the house with her phone," Rhonda said calmly, voice low and steady. "You said she went for a walk and never came back." Robert nodded once, then looked down at his hands. "So how did the phone get in your pocket?" I don't know," he whispered. Rhonda said nothing. She didn't repeat herself. She let the silence press on him like a heavy coat. Robert began to sweat again. "I was panicking," he finally said. "When she didn't come back, I looked everywhere. Maybe she left it in the bedroom. Maybe it was on the bed, and I picked it up by accident." Rhonda tilted her head. "You reported her missing at midnight. That message came in at 12:04. You couldn't have had it long. And if it was in the bedroom, how did you not notice until the officer called it out?" Robert blinked, but didn't answer. Rhonda sighed softly and stood up. She walked to the door and knocked. A young officer entered. "Bring in the phone log and location data," she said. Then she looked at Robert again. We're getting a search warrant. Your house, your car, your phone, all of it. You don't have to talk. But just so you know, things will move quickly from here. Later that morning, 6:45 a.m., the Callahan house was a tidy two-story home in a quiet neighborhood on Primrose Lane. A white fence, a blue swing on the porch, a dog bowl near the back door, empty. Inside, officers moved through the rooms carefully, collecting items. A pair of muddy sneakers by the back door, Vanessa's purse still on the kitchen counter, 2 glasses of wine, one untouched. In the upstairs bedroom, they found the bed neatly made. Nothing looked forced, no blood, no signs of struggle. But when they opened the trunk at the foot of the bed, they found something strange, a towel, rolled up tightly, with a reddish-brown stain. Rhonda, who had just arrived on scene, crouched beside the trunk. "Bag it," she said, "and swab for blood." Out back, another officer found something else. In the fire pit, among burnt logs and ashes, lay the charred remains of a cell phone box. The model? iPhone 13, pink case. "Looks like she got a new phone recently," the officer said. "But why burn the box?" Rhonda stared at the ashes, the wheels turning in her head. Then came the report from Tech. "Detective, we pulled the phone logs. The last number she texted was saved as T. She sent him a message saying, 'Still coming?'" Rhonda raised a brow. "She was meeting someone," she muttered. "Someone he didn't know about. Or maybe he did." Then another report came through. "Detective, we pinged her phone location for the last 24 hours. It didn't leave the house. Not even once." Rhonda's lips tightened. "She never went for a walk," she said. "She never even left the house." The pieces were starting to fall into place. Now she just needed to find the missing one. Vanessa herself. The Arizona sun beat down on the Callahan property as detectives swarmed the house. Neighbors peeked through their curtains, whispering theories over fences and back porches. Nobody could believe what they were hearing. Inside the house, Rhonda stood in the garage, arms crossed, staring at the stained concrete floor. Something didn't sit right. Vanessa Callahan had supposedly left for a walk, but her phone never left the house. Her favorite walking shoes were still by the door. Her purse was untouched, her wine glass full. Then there was the fire pit outside with a burnt phone box. And now, the faint but unmistakable scent of bleach in the garage. Rhonda turned to Officer Simmons. "Get the luminol," she said. He nodded and rushed out. The garage was mostly empty except for a few storage bins, a toolbox, a lawnmower, and Robert's black Ford Escape. The car had already been towed for forensic inspection. She walked slowly to the corner of the garage where a large rug had been, hastily folded and pushed behind a stack of paint cans. She pulled it out, eyes narrowing. A red-brown stain soaked the middle. "Blood," she whispered. Simmons returned with the luminol kit. They sprayed, turned off the lights, and within seconds the garage lit up in glowing blue patterns. Small splatter marks, a large pool near the back of the car, and streaks that led directly toward the trunk. "She bled out here," Rhonda said, "and he tried to clean it." Robert was still in holding, silent. He looked like a man unraveling from the inside. Rhonda walked in holding the rolled-up rug and crime scene photos. "I told you this would move fast," she said calmly. She laid the photos on the table. Luminol patterns, the burned phone box, the towel from the trunk. Robert's face turned pale. "I didn't mean to hurt her," he whispered. Rhonda didn't flinch. "Tell me what happened." Robert let out a shaky breath. "She was leaving me." "For who?" He hesitated, then, "Some guy." Said his name was Travis. She said she was tired of pretending, that she met someone online. I thought she was joking at first, but then she said she was moving out. I lost it. Rhonda stayed quiet. She came into the garage to get her suitcase. We argued. She pushed me. I pushed her back. She hit her head on the side of the workbench. And then, she wasn't moving. I panicked. I didn't know what to do. I wrapped her in a towel and I put her in the trunk. I was going to drive her somewhere, bury her, but I froze. I just froze. Rhonda leaned in slightly. Where is she now, Robert? He shook his head, tears now falling. I don't know. I couldn't do it. I went to the desert, pulled over, and just sat there. Then I came home. I couldn't think straight. Her phone must have fallen into my shorts when I took it off the passenger seat. You're saying her body's in the desert? He nodded slowly. Rhonda stood. Let's go find her. Luminol reveals blood in garage, blood-stained rug and towel recovered. Vanessa's phone in husband's possession. Search history includes how long before a body smells, cleaning blood from concrete, and Phoenix desert, no cameras. The Arizona desert stretched endlessly under the burning sun. Red earth, thorny cacti, and silence. Even the wind didn't bother blowing out there. It was a place where things could disappear. Bodies, secrets, even guilt. Detective Rhonda Mayfield followed slowly behind Robert Callahan as he walked ahead in handcuffs, escorted by 2 officers. His skin was flushed from the heat, but sweat rolled down his back for a different reason. Here, he said suddenly. It was here. I parked near that rock. They stood before a low hill with a scattering of desert stones and dry shrubs. Robert pointed to a shaded spot under a mesquite tree. I left her there, wrapped in the towel. Rhonda narrowed her eyes. You left her, not buried. He nodded. I didn't have the strength. I panicked. I drove off. The team fanned out, combing the area. Rhonda stayed quiet, observing Robert. His story didn't sit right. Again. Minutes passed. Then an officer called out, Detective, over here! Everyone rushed over. There in the shadow of the mesquite tree was a towel, red and blue stripes, covered in dust. But empty. No body, no bones, no smell. Just the towel and blood. Lots of it. Fresh enough to confirm this was the spot, but no Vanessa. Rhonda crouched by the blood-stained dirt and looked up at Robert. She's not here. Robert's face drained of color. What? That's not possible. I left her right here, I swear. Rhonda stood and stepped closer, voice calm but sharp. Robert, this isn't adding up. You said you left her here. No wild animal could have dragged a full adult body away without leaving a trail. So tell me again, where is she? Robert's mouth opened, then closed. He shook his head. I don't know. Rhonda sat across from Robert again, this time with photos of the desert scene. You're lying, she said. I'm not. She was moved. That means you went back, probably after the police report. After you realized someone might find her? Maybe you buried her. Maybe you dumped her in a different location. Robert's eyes were glassy. I don't know what to say anymore. Rhonda dropped another photo in front of him. Security footage from a gas station outside Chandler. Timestamp, 2:33 a.m., the same night he claimed to have panicked and returned home. There he was, Robert, refueling his car. Dirt on his hands, trunk closed, calm. You weren't frozen, Robert, Rhonda said. You were cleaning up. You had time to think. You didn't just panic. You planned. He stared at the photo. Rhonda leaned closer. But here's the thing. There's someone else in this photo. She pulled out another zoomed-in frame. A man standing by the car, baseball cap, slim build, talking to Robert. Recognize him? Robert's silence said everything. Rhonda slammed the table lightly. Is that Travis? The one Vanessa had been texting? Was this more than a jealous husband's rage? Robert finally looked up, his eyes no longer full of panic, but fear. Travis didn't just exist, did he? Rhonda asked. He was real, and you went to him. Robert's lips trembled. He helped me move her, he whispered. Back at the station, Detective Rhonda Mayfield sat at her desk, surrounded by reports, photos, and maps. The desert gave no body, but it gave something better. Doubt. Robert's confession had cracks. Now with this new face in the gas station footage, everything changed. Rhonda tapped the photo of the man beside Robert at the gas pump. Slim build, baseball cap, tan hoodie, face partially turned, but enough to work with. She called in her tech officer. Run facial recognition on this man. Check DMV records, Facebook, old mugshots, anything. An hour later, the results came in. Rhonda leaned forward, her instincts flaring. So he's real. According to Vanessa's phone records, Travis had called and messaged her for months, at least twice a week. Some messages were romantic, some were aggressive. There was even one from 3 weeks earlier. You said you'd tell him. Don't play me. Another. If he finds out, I'm done. You're on your own. Vanessa had replied, please be patient. I'm doing my best. Rhonda stood up and grabbed her jacket. We need to find Travis Dean Sutter. Now. The team arrived at a rundown auto garage tucked between two warehouses. No signs, no customers, just oil stains and old tires scattered out front. They knocked on the office door. A scruffy man in jeans and a tool belt answered. Travis. Rhonda held up her badge. Detective Mayfield, we need to talk. Travis frowned. About what? Vanessa Callahan. He didn't flinch, just turned and walked back into the garage. Rhonda followed. I haven't seen her in a few weeks, Travis said, picking up a wrench. She ghosted me. You were with Robert Callahan at 2:30 a.m. last Friday night. He froze. That's not a few weeks ago, she added. Travis stayed quiet. We have you on camera, next to the man who dumped her body. So unless you want to go down with him, start talking. Travis finally turned around. She told me she was scared of him, he said. Said he'd snapped before. I told her to leave. She said she was packing her stuff Friday night. Then what? I got a message from her at 10 p.m. Said she was coming. I waited. She never showed. So why were you with Robert? He hesitated. He called me, said he needed help with something. I didn't know she was gone, not until I saw the trunk. You helped him move her body? Travis nodded slowly. He said she fell, that it was an accident. I didn't know what to do. I panicked. I didn't touch her. I just stood there while he moved her. Rhonda's voice stayed cool. Where did he take her? To an old well near Buckeye, out past the desert road. Rhonda blinked. That hadn't come up before. He told you to keep quiet? He said no one would believe me anyway. The old well sat in the middle of a cracked patch of dry land, surrounded by low shrubs and silence. It was miles off the main road near Buckeye, Arizona, a forgotten part of the desert where nothing lived and few dared to go. No signs, no fences, just sun, sand, and secrets. Detective Rhonda Mayfield stepped out of her SUV, boots crunching against the dry ground. Her team followed behind with shovels, rope, lights, and gloves. The air smelled like dust and rust. They reached the stone well. It was half covered with a wooden lid, broken in one corner. Rhonda peered down, pitch black. Lower the camera, she ordered. A long inspection cable camera was slowly fed into the narrow shaft. The team watched the monitor carefully. The screen showed rocks, then more rocks, until something shifted. Stop, Rhonda said. A shape came into view. A pale hand. Another turn of the camera. A face. Bruised, lifeless, eyes shut. Vanessa Callahan, wrapped in the same towel that once sat in Robert's garage. Rhonda took a long breath, then radioed in. Found her. Secure the scene. This is now a recovery. That evening, forensics lab. Vanessa's body was lifted from the well and transported to the city morgue. Preliminary autopsy began at 10 p.m. Trauma to the back of the head, consistent with blunt force impact. Defensive wounds on both hands. No dirt in her lungs. She was not buried alive. Bruising around the throat, Rhonda stared at the report in silence. Vanessa hadn't just fallen. She fought. She was strangled, then dumped. Robert Callahan sat across from Rhonda, his wrists cuffed, his face tired. No more stuttering, no more fake tears, just silence. Rhonda slid the photo of Vanessa's body across the table. We found her, she said, and the medical examiner says it wasn't an accident. Robert didn't blink. She fought back. You didn't just push her, you grabbed her. You held her down. Still no response. Rhonda leaned forward. She was planning to leave you. Maybe you could have handled that. But what you couldn't handle was that she wasn't scared of you anymore. His lips twitched. She stood up to you that night. She wanted her own life, and you made sure she'd never get it. Robert finally spoke. I gave her everything, he muttered, and she threw it away for some loser with a tool belt. So you killed her? He didn't deny it. Rhonda stood, her voice low and firm. You're under arrest for the murder of Vanessa Callahan, and with Travis turning witness, you'll be going away for a very, very long time. Vanessa was killed during an argument after revealing plans to leave her husband. Robert struck her, then strangled her. He lied to police, then later moved her body with help from Travis. The case unraveled when Vanessa's phone lit up in Robert's pocket, exposing the first of many lies. Rhonda stood outside the station at dawn, sipping black coffee as the sun crept up over the Arizona hills. Another case closed, another victim silenced by someone who claimed to love them. But the phone had told the truth. It lit up in the dark, and so did everything else. 3 months later, the courtroom in downtown Phoenix was packed. Reporters lined the hallway. Friends and family filled the gallery. It was the trial of Robert Callahan, the man who had reported his wife missing, only to be exposed by the very phone he tried to hide. At the front sat Detective Rhonda Mayfield in plain clothes, arms folded, eyes steady. She didn't usually attend trials, but this one was different. It started with a lie, wrapped in panic, and ended in truth, wrapped in silence. Now justice was about to speak. Inside the courtroom, Robert Callahan sat at the defense table, clean-shaven, wearing a suit. But no suit could hide what he'd done. His eyes were hollow, his fingers restless. His lawyer whispered something to him, but he didn't respond. Across the room sat Vanessa's sister, eyes red from weeks of sorrow. Her hands clutched a framed photo of Vanessa. Bright smile, hopeful eyes. Gone forever. The prosecutor stood and addressed the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a case of a husband who made a mistake. This is a man who chose murder. When his wife decided to leave, he chose control. When she fought back, he chose violence. When she died, he lied. And when her phone lit up in his pocket, the truth began to burn. Then came the evidence. The luminol-stained garage floor, the bloody towel and rug, the desert site and the empty lie. The footage of Robert and Travis at the gas station, Vanessa's autopsy, signs of strangulation and blunt force trauma, and the messages. The ones Vanessa sent, afraid but brave. Then came Travis, clean-shaven, nervous, in a suit too big for him. He testified how he knew Vanessa from an auto repair job. They became close. She confided in him, told him Robert was cold, controlling, and angry, said she felt trapped. She told me she was leaving him, Travis said. She just needed time. Then, that night she was supposed to come to me, but she never did. He told the court how Robert had called him in the middle of the night, panicked. I thought she was just hurt, he said. He said it was an accident. When I saw her in the trunk, I knew it wasn't. But I was scared. I helped him move her. I regret it every day. Under cross-examination, Travis admitted to being a coward, but not a killer. And in the end, the jury believed him. After 5 hours of deliberation, the jury returned. Foreman, we find the defendant, Robert Callahan, guilty of murder in the first degree. Gasps filled the room. Vanessa's sister broke down in tears. Robert sat frozen, blinking rapidly, lips trembling. The judge spoke with authority. Robert Callahan, you are hereby sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Justice was served. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed, but Rhonda slipped away quietly. Later that evening, she returned to her office. The case file was closed, stamped, and stored. But she pinned a photo of Vanessa on the small corkboard behind her desk. A reminder, not just of justice, but of a small moment that changed everything. A phone buzzing, a light in the dark. The truth always finds a way out.